Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are here for NA match day number 8. Huge day coming up for us. Really good games this morning in EMEA. And we are looking like we're getting everybody into the lobby, and we'll probably be starting our NA game soon. We got Naughty watching the motivational speech before the game starts. That's an absolute essential. As we know, C9 not quite making the cutoff, so they're going to need a couple big
Chad, I gotta be
games
on this shit today.
today. He
This
said
is my energy today.
real. He's a be on the shit. Naughty player I really want to see succeed. I really want to see him make these top 12 teams, so he gets a chance to compete in upcoming LAN. But let's take a look here. Let's take a look at our standings. As we know today, Team Falcons at the start of the day was the only team with their spot secured for that LAN. They are clearly quite far ahead of everybody else. But same thing as we saw in EMEA today. We got to remember Group C has 2 game days. So they play today and tomorrow. So there's a chance to close some of those points. So teams like Liquid Alienware, for example, will play today and tomorrow, or Furia. And as we scroll down, it's going to be big for some of these teams, especially like Oblivion and Cloud9, who are just on the edge of this top 12 teams. So they're going to need 2 consistent days to kind of bump up into there. I'd say yup. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen for them. If they have an absolutely massive day today, it is possible. But unfortunately, today is their last day to play. So we've seen them win a game day before last week. So if they're able to do it again, then they should hop into that top 12. But after, don't forget, it'll change after today, because after today they might hop top 12, but there's still Group C to play tomorrow, and that could impact them. So all those things to keep in mind. What else? Yeah, key today is going to be consistency. Prime example is NIP this morning in EMEA on the brink of qualifying. Fantastic first 3 games on Stormpoint, and then they get to World's Edge and get 8 points in 3 games, and they dropped from third to 10th. Really big impact on the overall standings. So the pressure on them is going to be absolutely insane tomorrow. They have one last chance, but I think we're going to see the same thing in NA. Now teams like LG is Group B, but they don't play tomorrow. Until tomorrow, sorry. But they're not under as much pressure. You know, they're number 2, they're 75. The gap between them and 12 is big enough to where tomorrow they're basically guaranteed, right? They need a couple points in theory, but it's pretty much guaranteed with teams this consistent. Obviously, there's still space for huge upsets, but LG, TSM, SSG, all pretty safe. Bleed, still pretty safe. Alienware, since they have 2 games, pretty safe. I think it's complexity and down. We start looking, things might get shaken up. NRG is playing today, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think any of them are live, but I would love to see from their perspective. Fun is one of my favorite players of all time. Fun and Knock are awesome to watch. Very fun to see their interactions, and obviously very talented players. So hopefully we get to see them through main broadcasts today, and hopefully they can put up some numbers as well. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. Take a look at our POI drafts. It's following pretty similar to what we see every week. This week we do have a team taking North Pad. So usually you see like GSG is typically landing here, or Van, and then you usually see a kind of like a little fight or skirmish over North Pad. Typically you don't have a team dropping there, but this today it looks like Most Hated has drafted it. So that'll be a pretty interesting watch. I think, yup, if they get some North Zones on Stormpoint, they do have a really good opportunity to open the first 3 games strong. We'll see how the polls go. They were more north facing today in Europe. We had kind of like pylon Jurassic endings. So it was nice for the north teams, but we will see how that ends. And then today in World's Edge on Europe is ending kind of like monument style area. 2 games kind of ended around the hill. So we'll see how that pulls as well. Kind of same thing. Like barometers usually not taken, but usually people walking in take it. And game looks like it is starting. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick off match day 8 here. North America. Really exciting to see. Hopefully the teams we talked about on Edge can kind of make or break today. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Naughty and Cloud9 just because I like Naughty. I think he's a cool guy. I like his kind of esports journey. Player who's been through a lot of ups and downs. Wrongfully blamed sometimes, but I think we've seen a lot of personal growth from him just as a player, as a person, which is always fucking really cool to see. So hopefully he could put up some numbers today. And it looks like just depending on the stream delay, some teams are already loaded into game. Just finishing up POIs on main broadcast here. But I think we're going to see like a DSG Van most hated fight out of the gate here. Maybe even flat looks, to be honest. That might be some dinner bells for them to take a look. Let's see, kind of listen in. Let's see if anyone can get some early scans here and look at our zone. Let's take a look at Naughty. Think he hit that beacon, if I'm not mistaken, but I didn't see where it pulled. I would like for him to pull up the map and then I can get a good pause in and see. Or maybe they will pull up on main broadcast here.
Cash, want to play for that on the way to zone?
Okay, calling for an
There's a
Evo,
cash right on the
early
top
Evo
pylon there, what I'm
cache.
referring to.
Nice, very popular with teams right now. Kind of min-maxing their rotations, going a little like wider sometimes, taking an extra like 30 seconds to go grab those Evo caches or bins. But genuinely generally pretty worth it. Usually these teams are taking zones so early. Something that really comes into play is what loot you're coming into final zones with, right? You see teams running out of batteries and getting punished for it, teams running out of bullets and getting punished for it. It's the main 2. So they're definitely going to want to make sure they hit as much supplies on the way in as possible while still quickly rotating. I accidentally got rid of the map there, unfortunately, but it does look like it's going to be pulling towards flat, which is really nice for them. They're going to be hunkered down until our end game here, it looks like. Got some early evacs in main feed. As I said, teams looking to take that zone really, really early.
The majority of our zones don't actually go checkpoint itself unless they go to the buildings in the south, but I'd be curious to see how that one rolls.
So flat, team flat landing at checkpoint's going to be pretty happy. And I don't think they are going to be moving. I think, as we talked about, teams kind of running out of loot in these later circles, flat might run into that issue this game because it's pulling right on them. So unless they get like a squad wipe or something like that, it's going to be hard for them to get a chance to get more loot. But really nice shots from Frexes here in the top right corner. I think he's our only team fighting. Take a look. But doesn't look like anything's being hard committed to. They are taking damage to this fuse ult. And it is not here. Now Oxy gonna get knocked. Vayne going down really early. And now forcing Frex's ult. He's gonna hit one. Really nice shots on the guy on Zip. And they do get the insta-res. Good decisiveness from there, but Aiden shouldn't live this. Aiden's somehow still alive.
I can't help you. I can't help you. One's left.
I'm really surprised they're surviving this long. Really good reset from Oxygen, but they will get knocked. Not a chance to heal as much as they would have liked. Really close. I think
Bro.
Aiden needed to keep backing up there,
Bro,
and maybe they get a
let's
chance
get
to
off of you, bro.
slide
This is
down and
literally
reset
pointless.
at the
Like,
buildings.
This is so stupid.
But
we literally can't leave our POI with fucking anything. Like, this is just so dumb.
they're a little frustrated. That's fair enough. They're just looking for the rotate and won't be able to do it without being forced into a fight. Something to keep in mind though, these early rotations are very important. I'm not doubting that at all. Like getting an early spot in zone is a huge advantage, but they weren't committed to that fight, and they took more damage than they needed to from that Seer ultimate. So like sliding through it on the ground rather than jumping over the vehicle, using the vehicle, jumping over it, stuff like that. He could have ulted earlier and used that to take their space, like nade spam, stuff like that. So they did commit a little harder than they needed to, but the 3v3 was also still winnable. Keep that in mind. But obviously, very high level players, very hard to do, very hard to execute when the level of players you're playing against is really high as well. And if I'm not mistaken, this is most hated and flat fighting. I think I see. Oh no, Native is fighting flat on the other side here, and Native will thirst Nano. So Nano gonna be full killed early on in this game. That's not the performance that Flat was looking for, especially when they got the hard pull on POI. So Flat was basically guaranteed a top 10 with this zone, but getting punished early on, probably not going to have a chance to hard reset in this game. Just because the density is now going to be so high. We're entering the mid game where most teams, or at least half of the lobby, has kind of finished their rotation one zone in advance, so Flat will not get an easy chance to reset just because of the pure proximity of all the teams around them. Trev Stacks on his infamous Rampart, running his range. He's going to be rocking the new G7, not new, but buffed. If you've run the G7 since the update, it does feel a lot stronger. In my personal opinion, I find ARs feel better at mid-range still, but I think the G7 now does feel a little bit better at those really long ranges. But I'm talking like 3x range or 2x, 4x range, not quite like Bruiser range. I find Bruiser, I still like prefer ARs. Especially like Hemlock Nemesis just feels so good with Bruiser. I find G7's not quite delivering in the mid range still, but definitely received a good long range buff and feeling strong there. I think Trev is spamming off doors right now. That's what it looks like. Trying to force those teams to fight harder. Get some more eliminations. Sometimes it's worth it, even if you don't get the KP, to force teams together, force them to fight, and then you're effectively giving yourself placement in that way. It looks like there's a hard fight. SSG, Phony Koi, and Zainu fighting. Phony really wants to get this reset off before the fight develops more, and I think this is one of the teams that Trev was kind of spamming in the direction of. So like I said, kind of forcing those teams into each other, forcing fights, getting that elims, so getting his placement in turn. Let's take a look. Naughty in pretty good shape here, to be honest. They are on triple purple. They do not have they do not have deep spot in zone, but they might be able to work that edge as I get blocked by the ad. I think that's C9 on the low ground there, so might actually get into a little scuffle. Gonna be shooting teams, clicking heads. Looks like 4 teams coexisting in this area. 2 at Beast, and then 2 in the opposite buildings. So just looking for scans, looking for full information. Nobody really wants to commit at the moment. Keep in mind, in the early match days, you might see teams play a little more aggressive because they can take more risks. But this late in the season, a bad game can be a huge punish. So nobody's going to be looking to take any chances and just try and get some placement, try and get some easy KP, less forcing unless they're in like a desperate situation.
Who've had to make their way all the way from Lightning Rod will be showing up to Down Beast just a little bit late, but they're sitting triple purple and
Yes, Falcon is actually in a good position to third party anything. If any down beast teams keep fighting, that's kind of the ticket they want. Making this cross right here, as you can see, there's some rocks and stuff, but it's mostly like river and open area. So making this cross, if the down beast teams aren't fighting, is actually pretty difficult, because if they look at you, there's not a lot you can use. They're shooting, Falcons is now shooting C9, but we're gonna hide Naughty's POV because there's that ad perma blocking us. But if they're not fighting, it's gonna be a really hard cross. So I think Hal and the boys will just be a little patient. They're not really getting pressured right now. They don't have to make any hasty decisions. My worry here for Trev Stacks and the boys is they're still triple blue,
I have one.
and it looks like they're decently far.
Give me 2.
Give him 2. There's another one down that you're all just
Also sounds like they're low on meds, which is really not ideal, and forced to burn
We're letting them bullet.
another bat here. I don't know if I like using the bat over cells here. You still have 8 cells. Ugh. So I actually think this is becoming a little bit awkward for the boys here at CCE. They don't want to run out of loot before third zone starts pulling.
zone wrap. It looks fine.
So hopefully they get a chance to reset. They might look for kind of like a clean 3v3 to take just to get a little bit of a refresh. But it is difficult when you're triple blue.
Going back this side.
Still there.
Speaking of triple blue, we also have native on triple blue still.
Kind of fucked.
Kind of in a mirrored spot to Trev Stacks and CCE.
Want that ring console information. Where do they need to pull to?
DSG has been here for a while. Looks like they're not really moving. They're in another one of these circular buildings like CCE has, just in this north pad zone. But a lot of these teams aren't really looking to be proactive right now. They don't want to take damage, especially if you're kind of in the tunnel system, so to speak. It's hard to take good, clean angles. Chances are when you peek from these low areas, you're going to have 2 or 3 teams looking at you. And so obviously you don't want 6 people shooting at you at once, because it's not going to end well for you ever, let alone in ladder, but especially in pro play. So usually these lower teams will maybe take a few passive angles, but usually won't do any big swings or any commitments. For the reason of getting shot by everyone in the lobby, as you saw on main broadcast here. So it looks like Zach's trying to spam this team out so they can rotate past. Fuse popularity on Storm Point is insanely high right now. Just kind of gives you a lot of agency, allows you to take space really well. Definitely see why he's a popular pick. Nice shot by Zach. I believe that was a shot onto C9. Let's see if our POV of them is back, and it is. And that was indeed 63 damage onto Chaotic. Long zip here, coming towards C9. They're going to be calming this.
On grab cannon already.
And
Look at the feet right there.
getting smoked off. Naughty gets all 3 on scan. Really nice scan from Naughty. Surprised they're not looking for any nades
Make
there,
sure
to
height's
be
always up there.
honest.
The second height's not up there. It's like important to know, you know.
But
and we can do a lot more. with
That
our
height
spots.
team would be an easy punish. So I think here you maybe look backwards a little bit just to
Height is
add
still
some
up there,
pressure,
there's still
but you're not
there's still
looking to
18
full
bottom
commit
boost.
or swing to anything.
Yeah.
Teams in the low ground getting stuck, going to be dropping seer ults. Who's fighting up here? It's Snipe down in native, trying to make it to the bubble. He's going to get this bat off, but he's got to be careful of this zone. This zone could kill him. And he needs to have the gun out, but not much he could do. Snipe down, and the boys get really pinched and really stuck in an awkward position. I believe that was Furia they died to.
Height is so fucking like pussy right now. Like they're barely picking.
You heard it here first, boy. Height is so fucking pussy.
One's close.
Words to live by.
Kinda.
Imperial Hal landing some really nice shots. Falcons going up to red armor. Gonna put them in a really nice spot. They get the knock. They will get the thirst, it looks like. And that will be their first KP. Hal already at 700 damage, though. Putting numbers here in game 1. Really well done by them. I don't think C9 will be fighting anytime soon. Looks like Trev and the boys stuck in one of the trenches on the low ground here. They're triple crouched behind one wall. The walls are nice, but keep in mind one well-placed nade kind of negates the whole purpose of this wall. So they might need to play a little bit split. They might want to try and find some alternate angles.
No, because this team's gonna push us.
Yeah,
Wait, they already
I'm
left.
ready, I'm ready.
They stopped peeking this.
Think there's anybody in that right trench, Cat?
Right trench. What right
Like
trench?
that-
Fighting on the high ground, looks like SSG is going to be looking. Zainu has a knock onto Tila. That's liquid Alienware. And Koi, nasty angle on the stairs, but doesn't even need to land a shot because Phony wipes. So really good position from SSG here. But they will be forced to move from the zone. Hopefully they can rip an evac. There's going to be a lot of deaths coming through here quite quickly. I think C9 has one of the god spots here. C9 definitely feeling the most comfortable. They have Catalyst, which makes holding this building pretty nice, but I think a team's going to get desperate. I think teams are going to start getting desperate. They're going to get pressured.
I'm peeking out.
I'm seeing ulting, I'm peeking out.
I'm with you, guys.
Aggressive Seer ult, going to be getting him on scan as well. Nades, Naughty, nades. Oh, he doesn't need the nades because he's going to full spray him through the smoke. Really nice done. Get back to your building. Get reset. Hopefully another team punishes them. And yes, it happens. So now C9's going to get their KP from that. It's going to be Falcons walking behind them. So Falcons now nading and trying to work Naughty and C9. And this is where the fuse is going to punish them so hard. Falcons is going to get a knock onto C9. Falcons, that's going to be the dinner bells. They're going to be aping this building, just full spraying. Really nice really nice control of this building. He's going to want to Q spam the other door so they can't drop. But it looks like they're running. Very surprising. But they're going to get another knock on this Seer. Jen's gonna get a chance to get this bat off, and Falcons is gonna reset with what looks like 5 KP here. Really nicely done from them. Zach Mazer and the boys also were the team to go down to C9, and CCE is also down. So here we are. We're not we're not strangers to this POV. Usually the winning POV, it is Falcon. Team Falcon in a really good spot. They do have to take some space on these forward buildings. And there's a team ratting the rock. Hal can swing here. Hal doesn't have to heal yet, actually. I think if he swings farther down the hill there on the right, no other team has an angle. So he could have looked to pressure a little more, but it's okay. He will get the bat off. Reset. It's going to be dodged these nades. And one guy shoving is going to get cross-fired immediately. And a team should be punishing that team from the back as well. Going to get all the knocks. Zero needs to crawl to the rock. Zero needs to crawl to the rock. Jen was actually fairly healthy. Jen might have been able to punch him in, but now the res is unrealistic. They do have 8 KP. Teams are missing shots, though. Hal kind of lucky he doesn't go down from height there. And questionable swing to not try and reset inside that door. But there is a team in the building. The punish is high. Hopefully Jen can rat a couple spots for them. But now we'll swap onto our main stream here. Get a good POV. Looks like Crook and Stooney are in the building. Jen Burton ratting outside. DSG in a very decent spot on the hill, and we have Gent and KCP with control of Beast. And let's see how this will play out. The zone actually pulls pretty close to Reeds and Oblivion here. That fence below him is basically on the very last ring. It is low ground, but playing it would essentially guarantee you second. Also, this railing on the back side of that bin gives you an absolutely nasty angle. Those bin walls are like, it's like playing a perfect head glitch every time. and you have those railings behind it. So I'd like to see one of them play that. You have teams triple crouched in each building of this room. Gonna try and make some moves. Designful taking a lot of damage early. And enemy going to full swing. Nice playing of the knock. Designful gets a swap, and I believe he threw an armor on the ground there for Cusier to pick up. And yes, he does. So they will have a decent amount of loot going into this last fight. 4 teams, 10 players. So I believe Jen Burton's still alive, ratting somewhere. Now KCP opting to take a balloon, it looks like, but they are going to get absolutely destroyed by the fuse. Needs to hit those shots. You could also mirror the drop, but looks like they're going to stand and get punished by the Sky Nades. I think you commit to the drop on the other side. You did so much front-loaded damage. You wouldn't win, but you'd almost be guaranteed that 3v3. And now KCP in a really decent spot. But Sky's making a good call here to pressure them on the low ground, force them around, and that should be DSG taking game number 1. Really good game from DSG. They actually didn't have God spot. They had a pretty good spot in zone, but they actually executed on that really, really well to get that win in game number 1. So well played by Designful. His shot calling and IGLing has grown massively this season. So really, really well done by Designful. Someone I like to see succeed for sure. So let's take a look at our game 1. I guess our group and our game 1 are the same at the... No, they're not. So, Disguised with a 9-kill first place, going to be 21 points. Excellent first game from them. If they can keep consistent through the day, they've already, let's say they average 10 points per game for the next 5, finish with 71, basically already would guarantee them like a top 3, top 4 finish. So as long as they can keep consistent, that's our keyword always, they'll have a very good game day. Pioneers, second place, but only 3 KP. We saw them shit on the on Oblivion with their Skynades there. Really well played by them. They took a lot of damage coming out, but managed to make something of it. So 3 kills, 12 points for them. Team Falcons drops at 10 bomb, third place. Hal and Zero died quite earlier, probably around like 8, 10 teams, but Jen Burton was able to rat it to third. No teams wanted to commit to a swing to him because they didn't want to get punished by another team. So it kind of worked out in his favor. Rats for third. Really, really good 17-point game from Falcons. Not that they need it because they're already guaranteed land because they are quite dominant. We talk about consistency. That's the consistent team right there. That's the team to beat, but well done by them. Oblivion. This is the team that got Skynaded to Oblivion. But I would have liked to see them commit a little bit harder to that low ground. At that point, I mean, it's a really hard call to make. Obviously, you always want to try and win the game because there's more points in winning. But that slide down that they have, there's no way you're not going to get shot by every team in the lobby. And we saw them punish Pioneers really hard with the fuse as they were coming out of that little tunnel. So I think you punish with the fuse and then you drop down the opposite side. There's already smokes, there's already front-loaded damage. So even though you are dropping, it's not a far drop. So you don't have like delay, and you have a pretty good chance of winning that 3v3 before you get mopped. So they would have got placement because Pioneers would have died earlier, and KP. So a little bit of a misplay there, but very hard to read those scenarios with all the information, and obviously getting nade spammed by 16 nades isn't always predictable. So that leaves our overall standings at DSG, Falcons, Pioneers, SSG, and Oblivion. Well done by all those teams in our first game, and I will catch you guys for game number 2.